Hello guys, hope everyone's doing okay. Um, right, yeah, so picking up from where we left off on Tuesday, um, today should be kind of a last pass of likeness before I start worrying about topology and things like the inside of the mouth. I haven't figured out if I actually want to do a proper inside of mouth yet, but it's something I'm considering, obviously. Yeah, so today should be like primarily facial proportions. We'll get some real eyes in there, so I'll copy the eyes um, from Pero just as a kind of placeholder, and we will be replacing a lot of that geometry. I'll probably keep the cornea and sclera, but the iris I'm going to rebuild because I've got a different idea how I'll do it this time. But yeah, we'll get those so we got some proper scale reference. Get those into the head and yeah, just try to get the proportions nailed down. Have some likeness. We're getting close on likeness. We're still not there really, but we're not far off at this point. I also need to work on the body, which I may do in this stream or I may do in the next. Obviously, it's quite basic, and it doesn't need to do much of it. Yeah, it just looks bad. So yeah, we're gonna obviously focus on face because clothing will be covering the body, but it's good to get the proportions and all that stuff right before we go too far. But yeah, so I'm just going to get on with that. I'm going to start by loading in an eye into Maya. We'll get those placed and I can bring those into ZBrush and use them. But yeah, so I guess let's get started on that. So I'm just going to drag that to the other screen. Let's go File, Import, and I'm just going to grab the eye from Gustave Doré, which I believe I put in Maya eye tests. There's an updated eye model in here with shaders and stuff. I'll have to delete, there's quite a lot of junk in there, but I'll get all that kind of cleared out. Let's just give that a moment to do this thing. There we go. So, yeah, as I said, a lot of junk geometry. So we need to delete that. We need to delete the eyelid. We need to delete the meniscus. We need to delete that. We need to go into the reference editor and delete basically everything that isn't loaded. Okay, apparently we can't. So let's just grab. Okay, I'm just going to grab this cache, Alembic cache, export selection to Alembic. I temp, and we'll create a folder in here called geometry. We want UV sets and UV. Okay, then let's quickly reopen the scene. That will get rid of all these references that we can't unload for some reason. There we go. So, let's go to cache, Alembic, import Alembic, geometry, itemp. Okay, and we can delete that out. So let's just get all this. We'll delete sequence cam because we don't need that. And I think we can delete those as well. So something that I am aware of is that I actually made a mistake when I was doing the Pero's eyes. So I measured 24 millimeters. Sorry, let's just switch to the correct camera. Let's just put that onto RevCam, and this one's on perspective. Yeah, so I made a mistake when I made this guy, which is I measured the eye. So the eye on average is, I think it's 24 millimeters. Which I originally thought was for the sphere of the eye, but it's apparently not. Apparently it's from the front of the cornea to the back of the front of the cornea to the back of the sclera, which this very clearly isn't. So what I'm going to do is create a sphere, which I'm going to give a radius of 1.2. And where is it? Show selection highlighting. That can't be right. Right, let me delete that. Let's create a cube. and make that 2.4. Apparently that was right. Alright, so this is essentially a bounding box now. So we need to fit the eye inside that. And we need to fit the front and back inside that. Hey G1, how you doing? Can I fit all of this in now? That's probably close enough, right? So that is supposedly a correctly sized eye. Supposedly. So let's just modify 3D transformations. And let's see if this is way too small. If this is too small, then our model is the wrong scale. That's definitely too small though. Let me see if I can find this. Eye measurements. Eyeball dimensions. Transverse. 24.2. Okay. Transverse. Axially side to side, right? That's very confusing. Apparently that's right though, so that's kind of concerning. Because that's definitely not right. Okay. Let's duplicate this guy. So, let's see if we can find skull with eyeball. How much space does the eyeball take up in the skull? See, the thing that's confusing me right now is I am well aware of the fact that this eye feels too small, but it kind of fits. How much bigger does it have to be for it to... about that much bigger for it to feel right? Is it any clearer if we go to one of the side views? If we use the line up to our strength. Hey Yuri, how's it going, man? So let's use view, camera tools. So ignoring the fact that the eye is looking in the wrong direction. Actually, it might have been right before. shit, that's not what I want. Actually, yeah. Oh god, that's going to be something that bites me later, isn't it? It just feels so incorrect. I'm just going to have to learn to trust it. Okay. Maybe another factor is the cornea dimensions. Maybe this is too small compared to the rest of the eye. Hey Jordan. Yeah, I remember using that key when I was at NPC. I've forgotten how to do it. I used to remember like the way you set up that shortcut, and it really annoys me. But yeah, I need to search it up at some point. Because I think I had it saved in like my 2016 at home. But yeah, I just never got around to actually using it. Since you guys are here right now, is it just me, or does this eye feel way too small in the skull? 'Cause supposedly this is the correct size. Supposedly. But it just feels wrong. And the head is measured to be roughly correct, but that feels so tiny. I'm going to try scaling this to match. Let's move the pivot to the eye, see how much I have to scale this thing. Okay, let's turn off selection highlighting. I mean, this guy's eyes are already quite weird, so that's going to fuck with me a lot. But like, that feels more accurate to me. But then how small does that make his head? How much smaller is that now? 0.88, is just over 10% smaller for it to feel accurate. What's the measurements of that? Line that up with the middle. So the new width for the head is 13.5, which head width male. So I just want to know the head width. Yeah, so that's saying kind of the same thing. 150 to 160, so 14 is kind of small. And I don't know if I trust my sculpting enough to be accurate to this. Head width in millimeters. Huh? it's not a might capture art stream if you don't have like really boring tables of numbers at some point during a series. That's ear to ear though. It's kind of useless data. I mean, it's 1 centimeter difference. But that is at the widest point. That's a good point actually. Where does it measure that head width? Is it at widest point or is it at like temple region? Although if it was at temple region it would be even worse, wouldn't it? Because I need this to be right. I need the scale right as soon as I can get it right. Unless it's just a case of I'm modelling to what I want to see rather than what I actually should see, which is the correct eye size. Okay, let's just call this 0.88. Gonna scale that down. 0.88, 0.88, 0.88. Okay, so then if we temporarily duplicate this camera, not like that, and then I need the group, and I'm going to scale this by 0.88, 0.88, 0.88. So that should still line up. Okay, well, it technically doesn't, but close enough. Why? Why does it have to be so difficult? I'm gonna go with what feels right, which is this. Let me see if there's any other like numbers on head sizes. Average head size male. They're all circumferences. In 5th percentile. So this would count him as having a small head. In fact, no, it's like 13 point. Yeah, okay, his head is tiny. So maybe then my eye was the correct size, or wasn't the correct size. Maybe that's the issue. Yeah, 13.4, that is too small. And that's the maximum breadth of the head. So what we actually want is around, yeah, it has to be around 15. Which again, would put the, oh, Jesus, would put the head at that width, which is back to this guy. Actually, technically no. Yeah, so the original head size is fine. Okay, so how big does the eye have to be for that to work? Just... Actually, I need to put that back up where it was. Sorry about this, guys. Okay, so let's get this selected. Let's get it up until it feels about right and fits in the eye. Granted, again, this depends on the fact that the eyelid is sculpted to the correct shape, which isn't necessarily a guarantee. But that feels like a reasonable eye size. So let's get that. That looks like it fits. Okay, so now I've got that. Let's zero this out. How big does a sphere have to be? I'm going to set this to 0.5. Radius is 0.5, which means that the actual ball is 1 centimeter across. So now I can measure that by scaling it. 2.6. That's 0.2 centimeters. .2 centimeters is fine, right? It makes life a lot easier if this. Show selection highlighting. 2.6, okay. Average eye size. I know this is really dull to watch, and I apologize for that. This is the one I was on before, right? Plus or minus 1 millimeter. Oh wait, myopia. The hell is myopia? Huh. Right eyeball is slightly smaller than the left, but statistically insignificant. Oh, okay, so it can vary up to 27. Mine's 26. Okay, mine's within healthy range. So let's just commit to that. This is the size of our eyeball now. So modify, free transformations. I'm going to call this template eye. Template eye. And I'm going to duplicate that. Call this one left eye. Cool. Let's get that into place. So his left is that one. Okay, let's get that duplicated, moved over, and we'll check our camera lineup to see if this is approximately correct, because our camera lineup does give us a good idea of the size of his eyeball. I'm going to have to hide that back eye. So we're looking for that line there. Let's just move it back a tiny bit. Looks like it might need to move up a tiny bit. Hey David, how's it going, man? Congrats on the fundraiser, by the way. It's doing incredible, dude. Okay, there we go. So supposedly that is a correctly placed eye, which makes a lot of assumptions, but should be fine. So let's just get that roughly mirrored. 0.035. It's a symmetrical head for now, so I can just copy the settings across. that naturally points out quite a lot wrong with the inside of the eye. If that actually is the correct lineup. Okay, so we got that. We'll keep template eye group because we'll be using that later on to transfer everything. We're going to keep the transforms on these as well because we do kind of need that so that we can transfer everything again later. Okay, so we have eyes that are scaled. So I'm going to rotate this out by, I think it's 3 degrees, -3. Or it might be -1.5. Love the final last project, by the way. How long did it take you in all? In terms of time from starting it to finishing it, it was 1 year and 2 months. In terms of actual time on the project, the playlist is currently, I'll say currently, it's not going to be extended. I think the current playlist is like 98 hours to 105 hours. And I think I did about 20 hours of work off stream. So if I was working full work weeks, it would have been 2.5 weeks of work. If I was working like 8-hour days on it. But obviously I had a lot of breaks on that project. Like a lot of breaks. I wouldn't have worked that quick if I was on it every day. But yeah, so that's pointing out by 1.5. And this one needs to point the other way by 1.5. Approximately. The eye should point away from each other very slightly. And I can't remember the exact numbers. I think the divergence is 3 degrees, but I can't remember if it's that, if that is per eye 3 degrees from like the face angle, or if it's 3 degrees between the two eyes. I'm going to assume 3 degrees between the two eyes. It felt like forever for me as well. It was a painful project. I like the way it turned out. It definitely isn't perfect. There's a lot of stuff that I really don't like about the Pero project. I really wish I spent more time on the skin look depth, which is one of the reasons I've gone for a much more normal portrait this time. I really regret kind of some of the creative choices I made. But I just got so tired of the project towards the end. Up there in terms of quality, real impressive. Really coming to your own, nice to see. Thanks, man. Really appreciate that. Right, so we're going to get these. I'm just going to select the 2 cornea geometries. And I'll export these 2 as an OBJ. So let's just duplicate those, combine them, and delete the history on them. Cornea, eye, ZBrush, template. Cool. Delete that. But yeah, so for those who are kind of new to the stream, basically I do plan on updating the eye. The eye is quite a nice setup. It's not perfect by any stretch, but it replicates quite a lot of stuff that we see in photography. So I am happy with that. However, something I really am not too keen on was the iris. The iris for my eye setup, if I go into my ArtStation quickly, isn't good. So if we go into this guy, obviously it looks fine. Like at a glance, it looks okay, and like honestly, the cornea shader is pulling a lot of the weight. Like the way it's lighting is pulling a lot of the weight. The actual geometry doesn't make much sense. So the first thing that I point out is you got this hotspot right here. That's because I've got like a thin tube of geometry, but that is not how eyes shade. Like this isn't even remotely how they shade. And the reason for that is because I'm trying to shade this as something which it fundamentally isn't. So the eye, I posted a image on, not an image, sorry, I posted a medical thing on Facebook, which was an amazing resource, about kind of the anatomy of the eye, like from a kind of medical or semi-medical standpoint. And the iris is fundamentally 2 pieces, kind of. There's 2 like muscle directions in the iris, and there's 2 sheets almost. The back section of the eye is heavily pigmented, so light can't get through it, and it kind of curls around. So if you look at, if I just search the word iris ruffle, oh, let me just replace that. teach you some little bits of eye anatomy. These are flowers. Alright, let's iris macro. You're your own worst critic. It's important to be your own worst critic. Like, I mean, I'm very... I think I'm pretty self-aware these days. Obviously, you can't never know if you're self-aware, but I definitely used to have an ego problem. So it's something I try my best to keep in check, and I found one of the ways that helps me do that is to genuinely focus on the negatives in my projects. Because as a person, I'm quite prone to being optimistic, but that can very easily get out of control. So I try to be very harsh on my own work. Not harsh on other people's work. I try not to be harsh on other people's stuff. But on my own, yeah, I try to be harsh. It just helps me kind of keep myself in check. No one likes an ego. And yeah, I definitely had one. But yeah, so the iris, the thing that I've learned, there's this little kind of band in here that you can see. So this one is very visible, but it's quite low res. Let me see if I can find a good image of it. This one's barely visible at all. It's kind of visible there. I need to find one that's like really extremely visible. See, this one's visible. It's again really low res. If it's very visible, it'll help me kind of make a point and teach you guys something if you didn't already know. Right, yeah, so there we go. So this is a blue eye. Obviously it's got some areas of pigmentation, but you can see how there's this like brown ring in there. So fundamentally what that is, if I create a snipping tool, I can draw this super quickly. So I'm going to capture that. So basically from a side view, we've got this little ring here. From a side view, like a cross section, this is your iris, right? And this is the back face of the heavily pigmented bit I mentioned. It kind of curls up. Does that. And what that is for, this little curl up is this ring that we're seeing. And what that is for is the front face of the iris, which is kind of where all the muscle... It's not really muscle per se, from what I can tell. I'm not an expert on this. It's something I've just been trying to understand. But fundamentally, this is a place for the outer layer of the iris to grip onto. Maybe I should do a different color for that. So you've got the actual iris on the outside, which is kind of gripping onto that, and it kind of pulls the whole thing. There are two different motions that this can do, and I don't understand the mechanics of this yet, but supposedly there's a layer which is like here-ish. There's a line here, but I don't think that's related. But that can extend itself, and there's a layer out here which can pull back the whole eye. So between the two of them, they balance out to put your eye exactly where you need it. So you can do micro adjustments with one of them and large adjustments with the other. I think that's my current understanding of it. So my current eye setup ignores all of that completely. And if I just do a custom pen, what my current eye setup is like, hey, here's an iris. Oh, this bit's a bit bumpy. And that's kind of all it does. So it's shading as if it's a surface, but this has a thickness to it. There's the back plate which stops all the light getting through, and this kind of shades like a cloud. In terms of eye color, that is just pigmentation. Well, that's a kind of obvious statement. So what I mean by that is blue eyes are a lot more transparent because they have less pigment. So this blue that you're seeing is effectively the same effect as a blue sky, where a lot of light is going through it, but the blue light is getting scattered. So all the red and green or yellow, all the other colours are hitting the back of the eye and getting absorbed, but the blue's getting scattered about and coming back. So the real world effect that has, at least in terms of your shader, is if you look at a blue eye, it's almost transparent. But then if you look at a brown eye, it's a lot more solid feeling. That is the physical kind of reason for that, from what I can tell. So to really capture this, the iris, at least the front layer of it, needs to be shaded as a volume. You shouldn't be shading it as a surface if you want like a correct thing. And this is something that will make zero fucking difference to the final image. But I do these projects to kind of research things and get a better understanding. Because that is, in my opinion, the best way to improve is to push pointless shit. And if it takes your time, it takes your time. But the results won't necessarily speak for it, but you'll know more, and that's cool. But yeah, so basically, blue eyes have the least pigment, so they're the most transparent. I need to learn how these fibers work, Technically for that, I imagine you'd want to do like a groom, but I'm not sure if we'll go down that rabbit hole. But yeah, as you get more pigment, your eyes slowly get darker. They kind of go from blue to green to light brown to dark brown. It's like hazily kind of stuff. And those darker eye colors are much less transparent. Light gets killed off very quickly, so these do shade like a surface. You can actually kind of get away with it, but the light response is always going to be like a volume, so you're never going to get subsurface in the same way that you would with a surface. But yeah, so that's all that rambling over. There's another side effect to that, which is when people have these like dark spots in their eyes, those dark spots are much less transparent. So if I can find iris macro, blue, brown spots. Let's see what comes up. See if we can find any like good images. So you see how in these blue sections we can see all the fibers behind, like you can see all these little lines, and in the brown sections you can't see those lines. That's again because the brown pigmentation is killing all the light. It's not transparent at all, or nowhere near as transparent. Wow, that's cool. But yeah, so that's something that would be really cool to learn how to set up. Doing these fibers is not going to be fun, but you can see how they're kind of attaching to this ruffle, and I really want to learn how to do that. But I think geometry-wise, the iris I do for this project is going to be really quite horribly complex, to be honest. But we'll see how it goes. It might be a nightmare and I give up on it, because I think I was going to do this on Pero, if I remember correctly. It's over a year ago now. But yeah, this is what I've been learning about in my free time recently, watching a lot of medical like things for eyes, a few dissections, which wasn't nice because I'm quite squeamish when it comes to eyes. But I'm going to have to grow out of that very quickly. Anyway, that's enough babbling. So let's get this exported, because I'm well aware that I was just babbling for way too long. Let's go to modeling, Maya exports. Let's just call this iTemplate Geo. Oh wait, sculpt template, because iTemplate is the main geometry that I'm using. Cool. And we'll get that imported. We'll transfer the painting over. So let's just go append. Okay. And let's import on top of this Maya exports. That's really close. So I'm just going to smooth these a bunch of times and go back to the lowest subdivision level and import it back in. And that just regains the original volume. Makes the high res match up with the low res. There's some weird smoothing stuff happening, so I'm going to have to fix that. In fact, yeah, let's very quickly. Okay, let's go back to that low res. Import. Okay, it's not going away. There we go. So, we got that. Let's just quickly hide this guy. And go into transparent mode. Yeah, so the new eyes are a lot smaller. Let's scale these to match. So let's just go scale. And do local symmetry. Okay, and we're going to line that up as close as we can with the other eye. Obviously it's not the exact same shape, but we'll get close. And what that will let us do is... Hey, maybe it's quicker to paint it actually. Yeah, fuck it, let's just paint it. Be easier. So, show that. So, BST. Let's go over to this guy, toy plastic, which is the best place to start. Fill object. Cool. And then we'll change back to basic material. I'm just going to go with a darker color. Okay, then let's just go over much darker. His eyes, why are they so small? Oh, because they are small. Okay, let's fix that. Let's paint them to be roughly the right size. So paint over that. Okay. Keep control. Okay. Then come on, there we go. Okay, and then all we're going to do is go into transparent. I'm going to paint a very quick ambient occlusion type thing around the eye. That was help it feel bedded in. There we go. Got some eyes. So let's just delete the old eyes out, which do look better, but so be it. But they look a lot better. They're just more heavily shaded, but it's really going to bother me. Let's get a fully black. That'll do for now. Let's just delete the old eyes out, which that isn't what I meant to do. Okay. So we need to leave these basically well alone now. Right, so now that we've got the eyes in there, let's just save our scene. Actually, I need to turn off preferences. Let's go to undo history, enable saving, turn that off. And let's go to modeling, ZBrush, block out. It's gonna get the number 9 on the end of there. Cool. There we go, so we can start kind of doing some stuff with that now. So, what do we notice is most wrong in here? Let's find out, shall we? I'm gonna hide the eyes. And I'm gonna go back into this. So, there we go. So obviously this is wrong. That needs to kind of come up a little bit. That needs to go down a bit. But then I'm not sure this one lines up correctly. So we'll ignore that one for now. The eye overall is lining up. The bottom of this eye bag is too low. And this is also too far back. In fact, this cheek is too far forward in general, which is weird because his eyes are already quite far forward. But that says the same. Okay, so we need to add a bit more cheekbone up here. We need to pull that eye bag and the cheek as a whole back because that is way more hollow than what we have. So let's start off with the cheekbone. Because that's a nice easy win. Okay, we're going to set that to no alpha, Z intensity like 5, and we're just going to do it with symmetry this time. Okay, and then we need to get the eyes and pull them back a little bit. So I'm just going to soften this. In fact, not the eyes, sorry, the cheeks. So let's just get all this stuff masked out. Okay. So we're just going to pull this all back a little bit. Alright, I also need to focal shift this. So how far back does that eyelid need to go compared to what we have? Got a little bit, not a huge amount. This needs to be more defined as well. Mine is way too relaxed. But I think the brow in general, like that underside of the brow needs to be way more defined. This bit here. So let's just go into stroke. Lazy mouse. Okay, so then this part of the eye here needs to go back further, which I think I can do with the damp standard. It's starting to tilt backwards now. And that still needs to go further back, I think. See, this suggests his cheekbone comes further forward, but I need to be careful as how I do this. Because it's very sharp, his cheekbone. Okay, we also need to relax this out. His eyes feel less dead than they did in the last stream. So we've made some kind of progress. It's good. It's a good day. Okay. So I just really want to do quickly. I know this is irrelevant to what I'm currently doing, but I need to... That was something that was really bothering me when I looked back at it. I know it's like one of the smallest details and we literally won't see it in the final thing. And this side profile is awful. Oh god. But for some reason the belly button was bothering me the most. So we've got this kind of slice going through here. That thing there, so let's just even that out. Because ref doesn't seem to have that at all. That is going backwards now, it's good. And then we need to figure out the inside corner of the eye. I think this needs to go backwards. Okay. Getting there. Kind of want to solve the inside of the ear a little bit. Or resolve even. Just quickly make this look a little bit nicer. Okay. Connect that up. So that hollow point there is really quite poor. Okay. Definitely feeling stronger now. Really want to get rid of that central line. It's bothering me a lot. Okay. That's feeling better than it was. It doesn't feel as flat now. There's something really wrong about this. See, one thing that will always bother me, I need to find a way to do like good eye previews in ZBrush, because you can't really get away with painting the pupil on there, but it's really helpful from the front views, but then it's really distracting from like these views, because that's just not how the pupil reacts. I'm wondering if it's almost better to actually just remove that entirely and just like do something like this. Like, is something like this better for the preview's sake? I mean, obviously it makes him look blind, but if I do something like that, maybe. I'm not doing a pupil. Yeah, that kind of works better for me. I'll stick with that. I can always add a pupil in later. Okay, so. Transparent. Transparent mode is so helpful sometimes, because it lets you actually sculpt through things. It's not just like a display thing, it actually changes your brushes, the way they react. I just want something that blends a little bit better into the neck. Granted, I think I need to slouch his pose. I'm aware, obviously, I'll be moving it later, but it's currently a little bit too squared off. But anyway, let's get this brought in. We've not moved the hair, so we don't need to worry about that. Let's just go turn off group. Don't need any of that stuff. Export. And let's go to ZBrush. Okay, move that over. Save this while I'm at it. Okay, and let's just go in and update this mesh. So file, reference editor, reload. This should move back. There we go. So, oh, that's the one I want to hide. Yeah, it's getting pretty close. This needs to pull back. That needs to be pushed in quite a lot. In fact, yeah, that needs to change quite a lot. In fact, this entire... How is that so far off? I swear that used to line up. And let's check some other angles. Bit too much volume here. We can pull that back. This I'm gonna chalk up to asymmetry. And the inside eyelid is a lot more dominant than I expected. Like, this is really puffed out. Yeah, and that's the same on both sides. So this part of the eyelid is really quite large. This is a much older photo, so I need to be careful how I use this. But I think this is too hollowed out, or like the nostrils pointing too low. How do I chalk that up? I'm going to choose not to trust this image as much. He looks like he's bigger in this photo than he is in the others. Okay, that needs to come out more. Yeah, that plane change needs to happen further down. That part of the nose still needs to come up as well. Alright, so that part of the nose, that's the first thing we'll do. Because that's a very easy thing to fix. So, just get BMV up. There we go, how's that fixed? We need to fix how we hollow this area out, which is we don't. Just get that nice and round. Okay, that will help. This part of the ear, so let's just hide the hair for a moment. So this part of the ear needs to be pushed down. And that needs to come like that. Okay, and then the other thing was that this needs to come way, way up. So let's just mask out the edge of the eyelid there. And just bump that a little bit. And then that needs to do like this sort of stuff, right? Like it's like way bumped out. I wonder what's the mechanic behind that. Does he just have really thick eyelids or something? And by result, that needs to puff out to react. Unless it's completely hollow but didn't look it. Which adds the volume here, which we kind of saw in some of the ref. These eyelids are overly thick though, right? Like, way overly thick. Oh, there was a bump issue here, wasn't there? Let's get back into that. Yeah, this... In fact, does the inside edge of the eye need to come this way a little bit? Is that corner of the eye just way too embedded? Possibly. Let's try just doing that. Ease it out. In fact, we need to go down a subdivision level. Just ease it out a bit more. Smooth. 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 Let's just try pulling that forward. What happens if we do that? I think that's more accurate. Oh god, the eye's getting further and further out every time I do something. That feels more correct to the way his eyes are. But that feels a bit more organic. Keep that in. We can always push it back later. So pull that down a bit, pull that back a bit, define that a bit, push that up. Okay, so in, giving them elf ears. So in, back, up. And then arbitrarily define. And I think that needs to push up. Does the A-lobe need to move? Needs to plump up there, so push up that way and then be fatter. Okay, so I think one of the issues right now is that my eyelids are completely the wrong, like, kind of angle, right? Like, this line, if I was to literally draw a line, so BST, let's just draw a line there. That line is at the wrong angle. It should be facing, like, that way. It should be, like, pointing away, like, from the normal of the eye. Because this would imply the front of the eyelid is bigger than the back of it, which I'm pretty sure it's not. I don't know what I'm drawing right now. Yeah, we need to fix that eyelid. How much information does the Maya scene give us? There we go. Let's go into Maya. I think the eyelid needs to be way less. Yeah, the eyelid is way too thick. So let's thin out that bottom lid. Okay, I'm gonna hollow it out with this guy. Get the roundness that we want. Sorry, the angle that we want even. That's better. So now what we can do is just quickly give that a little bit extra something. Okay, and then thicken that out a little bit. Okay, so that's healthier looking. Push this back. Okay, and now that we've done all that, we can get that lower lid back in just a little bit. One of the most underrated features in ZBrush, that one. If you draw a line and you need to do that exact same line again, you can just press 1 and it'll just do it. It's really, really helpful if you want to define something. Like, just intentionally sculpt it too weak. I'm just trying to find the right amount. And you just define it as much as you want to. I think it's just repeat last. It's the same as like G in Maya. Okay, we're going to need to get a caruncular in there. So I'm going to remove this area. We'll throw a different geometry in there for now. I just need to search up the anatomy of the dickroncula, honestly. That'll do as a temp. A lot of this is easier to kind of smooth out once we're in Maya with a retopoed mesh. Like, this sort of stuff is so much easier to solve when you do all that. Let's just do an inflate. Oh. This is really annoying. Oh, was I brushing? Okay. I was accidentally brushing against the radial pad on my Wacom. Okay, let's get that smoothed out. I'm going to fill in the back of the eye, just to kind of help my smoothing for now. Because the current issue that I'm getting is when I try to smooth it, it's averaging it down, and which is changing the shape of the eye. So I need to even all that out. This sort of stuff is really easy to fix in Maya, so we'll just do it in there. Okay. Round that out, smooth it, round it out, smooth it. There we go. Okay, so let's get that back into Maya. Save my scene. I'm gonna save an alt version, because I don't trust that I made the right decisions in that. That's still set up. Okay, so that's done. We'll show this guy. Okay. Go into our there we go. That eyelid's come out further, like a lot further. That one's getting close. This is lined up now. That I'm fine with. That's come out too far now. That needs to go up a little bit. Or back. I think I made it too thick. Oh, apparently not thick enough. I think it needs to stretch out a little bit. So I think, yeah, this thicker eyelid will work. if I bump that up just a tiny, tiny bit, bump it back just a tiny, tiny bit. Then that side view needs to be pulled back a fair chunk. So let's try to get to a good angle. Let's just do go to the bottom view. So that bottom view should not have changed the profile from any other angle at all. Okay. What else is wrong? Oh yeah, I needed to move the cheekbone down a bit, didn't I? I needed it to be like out here somewhere. His angle changes further out now, which ages him a little bit, actually. I wasn't expecting that. Something I really want to do quickly. Append. Okay, let's just do the thing I wanted to do, which is geometry, delete lower. There we go. Okay, let's go to mirror topology. There's enough mirror and world. We also need to flip it. Let's turn off local sim. Go to deformation, mirror, then go to geometry, mirror and world. Then we can just quickly turn off, well, have a bit more control over the shape now, without having to repaint it all the time. Okay. Getting there. So let's get him back in. Oh, let's color fill object. And then while we're at it, very quickly just go in and add some grays. I'll do this asymmetrically because there's no reason not to. There we go. Cool. So now that little sideways escapade is out of the way, let's just get this mesh back to ZBrush. Oh, back into Maya. Oh, we didn't check the mouth actually. Oh well, the cheek. That needs to come back a little bit more. Alright, cool. So let's just do that. So this area right here needs to come back. Hey, wait a second, that's not a perfectly recreated CGI image of me. I'm afraid, Alex, I'm not making you. That's your parents' job. Like that will do. Just so you know, that's who it is. John Singer Sargent. No, he's not blind. So let's get that into Maya now. Export, go to exports. Okay, back into Maya. And just reload that. I can't say I'm not immensely disappointed. Love you, Alex. Sorry, Alex. Okay, that continues to curl back a bit more than what I have. This corner's still not right. Why is it not right, though? This brow's not lined up either. And that needs to come back. Okay, that's a very quick win. So let's just square this corner out a little bit more. I think once we've got proportions of the ears right, we're going to have to do quite a lot of sculpt work to make it look like ears. Like actually have the correct kind of softness to the forms. So why is this corner not working then? Is it that this bit needs to come out? Like if I mask, or in fact, if I do the opposite, if I mask this area and then like anti-mask that bit. Anti-mask users. If I just pull this bit forward, hey, when it does that. So if I now just pull this forward, is it possible that that's just more accurate? I guess it could be. His lower eyelid is a bit too puffy, I think. Yeah, you're right, absolutely. That feels completely off. Yeah, that can't be right. Okay, I'm gonna stick with that. Cool. Okay, let's have another look. Yeah, so this needs flattening out a little bit, but where is that coming from? It's so hard, like, these photos are like, what, 80 years old, maybe older? They're so hard to use as ref. That needs to pull up a little bit, I think. But then this entire eye is in the wrong position for this image. It's not lined up well enough. In fact, I need to check cheekbones, don't I? No, that's not quite enough. That needs to pull out more. See, one thing you can be certain on is that the cheekbones don't change. Like, obviously, if someone puts some weight, they hide, but the underlying bone doesn't disappear. God, some of these are so bright. Yeah, that needs to relax more, doesn't it? And there's an angle change here. So maybe that corner is just more pronounced than I have it, which would result in something like this. Which is so weird. So I've definitely misread that. Maybe that angle change is more like a subtractive one. Kind of comes in there and does this. But then that will make the original problem worse. Alex was right though, we do need to soften that out, so let's just reduce this. Got to get it flat from that side view. And then that bit was too high, wasn't it? And then this bit back down here still had to go a little bit further. We never checked the top lid, did we? Does that line up better now? Closer. Still wrong though. I think this part of the eyelid needs to come down. But I think in general this part of the eyelid needs to come down. So, you know what that means. The eye shape is still wrong. You're getting that dead look in the eyes again. Nice, nice. Yeah, we'll need to move the eye to fit all this. I think the eye is in the wrong place, honestly, but I'm not too worried. Not yet, anyway. It'd be bold to assume I got it in the right place first time. So I think, if I remember correctly, we had a little bit of too much volume here, right? I need to pull that back a tiny, tiny bit. And then this cheekbone still needs to come out more, so let's just do that. Then flatten that a little bit. That is going to soften the overall cheekbone look. I don't know if you have this picture already, but it shows a great profile view. You might need to send it me on Facebook, because YouTube will not allow you to send a link. Annoyingly. Although, to be fair, it's not a feature I'd turn off, just the amount of spam this channel used to get. Let's check the cheekbone. Yeah, that needs to hollow out. Although that's for the old version. No, that still needs to hollow out. Alright, cool. So, hollow that bit from, like, this view. Discord. I can open Discord. Let me just quickly black out my screen. Because I always forget like which screen it will open on. If actually you've done it, I can check out my phone. Never mind. I'll keep that open. Let me have a quick look on my phone. Oh yeah, I've got that image. It's a really fantastic, helpful image. Let me get it up. So I've lined it up with this one. Yeah, so that top eyelid's going to really bother me for a while. It needs to come down. It needs to come down so much though. Like his eyes are just really, really closed, like all the time. But it's hard to tell how much of that is down to how much of that is down to the actual like kind of pose of that photo. Let's try that. Although this is looking specifically very grumpy. Okay, let's just... There we go. That feels a bit healthier. Okay, get back into Maya. View. I think we'll have to move the eyeballs to match. That's a lot closer. It's a lot closer actually, that's good. This bit is flatter. Mine kind of curls a bit much. This corner's going to really bother me. Is that line there, this one? Is that really how far out the inner side of the eye is? Either way, let's quickly check the eyes. See, he is looking down. I think these eyes need to come a tiny bit forward. And probably a little bit up. So let's get the... Oh, we don't want that. We want... But I need to do that with a scoop, don't I? Okay, let's just move that up a tiny bit. Move forward a tiny bit. Okay, and so we're just going to copy those settings. 7601. That's close enough to not really make a difference, honestly. Okay. Honestly, I think we're close enough to be able to do retopology from this stage. How long have I been streaming for? I've been streaming for 1 hour and 36 minutes. Okay. So I guess we can work a little bit on the body. We need to do the inside of the mouth at some point. Which is gonna really fuck me up because it means you need to like redo all this. Like basically the entire mouth needs redoing after you do the inside of the mouth. So his eyes aren't really sunken, like in terms of like his eyes are actually really shallow, unless you mean like below the eye. Like if you mean like this bit needs to be pushed back, because his eyes are very far forward. Like extremely far forward compared to most people. For context, I'm pretty sure that the average set of eyes I do are like back here, which is just intense. His eyes are really, really far back. Oh, I need to check that from different views, don't I? It's getting pretty close. That still needs hollowing out more. This is going to be really hard to get right, isn't it? This brow's too big, actually. Yeah, the brow's too large. It needs to be pushed in. Push that bit in. Let's just grab that color. Just bump that in a little bit. Loving it work so far, bud. Keep it up. Thanks, man. Good night, mate. Okay. So we're going to resolve a few of these kind of textural things over here. Let's get a little bit of something going on in here. Wait, there's something with this corner as well I need to fix. Okay, let's just darken that up a little bit. Right, there we go. So let's get that exported back in. Okay, and then open this up. What's the camera we want to check? This one, I guess. No, not that one. Oh, that tip of the nose is wrong. That bit needs to come out, which I didn't do. I don't think. In fact, no, I did? No, not enough. Let's just fix what was going on there. This is teaching me a lot about face anatomy. Wondering if that is too much. Either way, save my scene. Okay, and get that exported. Okay, so let's get that updated. Just watching this part of the cheekbone. That feels way too much. Well, apparently it's not. Spooky. Nah, it is too much. I think it's that bit there. Not far off though. Not far off at all. Nose on this is really bothering me. So going to this one, this is way too defined. Other than this actually, anywhere it's that defined. No, it's not defined in any of them. Alright. Another case of sculpting what you think you see, and not what is actually there. It's the worst habit for an artist, I feel. And it's really hard to escape as well. Like, really fucking hard to escape. Just need a little bit of something though. That's a little bit too weak. Okay, let's see how that works. This will relax quite a lot. Kind of like it with the eye bag though, honestly. But if I'm going for realism, I can't just add things because I like them. That's a lot closer. Oh, that's closer. Yeah, it's all so much closer now. Alright, yep. Learn to trust your reference. I don't know why I'm so bad at that. This needs to come in a bit. That needs to go that way a bit. So let's just pull that over a little bit. So this part of the cheekbone needs to be pushed in, right? See, why do I prefer this version so much? Let's just relax that a bit. No, I can see my problem there. Again, it's one of those where I really want to see a certain shape. So we've fixed the cheekbone a little bit. Maybe this view, honestly, where it's wrong. Because that looks really CG. This is starting to look worse by the moment. Trying to move on. The cheekbones are making it worse. Let's just use the move tool to push them back. So we keep the same general shape. Okay, so export. Did that update? I wasn't looking at my screen when it went. That needs to be eased in. But that's got close, that's close. Alright, so we just need to relax that bit now. This bit needs to be pulled in a little bit. Yep, that's collaborated by that, and that, and possibly that, and that. Yeah, so this area needs to be relaxed in a bit. Yep, a lot actually. How have I not noticed that until now? Okay, so relax this part of the cheekbone and pull that down. So this bit right here needs to do like that. Let me see who's messaging me. Oh, might be Salma. I'll have to reply in a sec. Sorry. Just streaming right now. I can reply later. 1 second, guys. Give me 1 moment. There we go. So, how much do I need to relax that brow? I have a suspicion we also need to move this down as well. So yeah, how much do we need to move that down by? Because the top of the nose was too narrow as well. So let's try that, although looking at my ref, probably still not enough. Let's Well, that's going to help that other issue I was having before. Alright, let's give that a go. Okay, let's get that put in. Export. Okay. Let's get that into here. Reload. Let's see how this looks. How much it needs fixing. It's closer. It's not right, but it is closer. Yeah, that bit needs to come down. It still needs to change quite a lot. Yeah, it still needs to change. Jesus. It's amazing how long things can be completely off for without you noticing. Like, this is fucking miles away. And I just never caught on to that. That's not going to be far off now, surely. Okay, let's just get the inner corner of the brows as well. Move them down a little bit. That makes this make more sense, which is good. Because now there's something for it to actually push against, right? Okay, let's get that sorted. I think that's closer. So let's... This isn't soft enough yet. This bit right here needs to be softened out. Hey Zin Productions, welcome to the stream. Okay. Getting that. Let's get him exported. Test him with Maya, see what the cameras are doing. Okay. Reload. Yeah, that's pretty close now. That's a lot closer now. Finally, getting somewhere. That corner right there is not right. Other than that, it's starting to line up. These ears are still completely wrong, but I still don't know how much I trust. I know I've been saying multiple times, like, oh, always trust your ref, but it's like, sometimes it's really hard to tell if this is a case of camera lineups being wrong, if my model is just simply the wrong scale, if it's an age thing, if it's like he, you know, had something pushing against things. It's so hard to tell. Side of nose needs bulking out. Okay, so that bit needs pulling in. Side of nose needs bulking out to get this more round profile. So let's give that a go. So is it right there? Right. Okay. And then that bit right there needs to be done like that. And then this entire inner section needs to go like that. God, his eyes are so strange. He had such shallow eyes. Oh, God, that angle looks really bad now, though. How much of that is down to the thickness of the eyelid, though? Because this eyelid is, like, preposterously thick at this point. Like, this is actually insane. Technically, it should be much closer to that, although this is still on the very thick end of what an eyelid would be. You know, that's extremely thick. Even that's closer. But then he has really puffy upper eyelids. That line needs to be eased up a tiny bit. Some weird, like, horizontal lines going on here. Okay. So, get this scene saved. I hate how dissonant that save sound is with, like, every song that's on this playlist. Like, it's bad. As a guitar player, that sort of shit is just offensive to my ears. Granted, I'm not exactly a great guitar player. I play dissonance all the time, but it just hurts. 'Cause it's like not even a semitone out. It's like kind of off. Hey, Dago. Welcome to the stream. I think this is the first time I've seen your name here. Going pretty well. How you doing, man? Or woman, I guess. I don't know. Okay. That looks a little bit more natural than it did before. Not necessarily accurate, but more natural. Yeah, that needs to bump up. That needs to bump up a lot. Let's see if the other references... Yep, nope, they all look like it's going to need to bump up. Quite a lot, Jesus. The dude's eyes are just strange. Right, so that needs to go like that. I wonder if that's one of the reasons I gravitated towards making John Singer Sargent. Because he has such a unique look in his eyes. Like, they simultaneously, like, not to be rude to the guy, he has very dead eyes. Which is probably why he, most of the time, had a 3/4 image taken. Like, when it's clearly a portrait, it's almost always 3/4. Like, this I don't think was a planned portrait as much as the other ones. This one is obviously quite planned, but so that one kind of throws a spanner in the idea. But most of them are 3/4 views. I was in your last post. Oh, sorry about that, man. I'm boy, sorry. No problem, no problem. That's on me, not you. Let's just pull this back a tiny bit. And let's try getting that in. This part feels incredibly sunken. In fact, there's a little bit of a weird lump happening there, so let's get that ironed out. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on stream, but it's like a very faint like shadow line going across her. I need to like rewatch my streams at some point, or at least like sections of them, because I don't know what the quality comes off. I saw a message in like a completely foreign language. I genuinely don't even recognize the language. You're still working on the eye area. Yep, the eyes on this guy are really, really hard to get. And we've worked a little bit on other areas, but the eyes have been the focus of this one. So I've replaced the eye geometry itself with something that's measured. We discussed earlier, like much earlier in the stream, if you want to learn about eyes, I talked about the eye anatomy, as in like literally the eyeball anatomy and how irises are from like more recent research I've done. I'm gonna at some point, once I feel more secure in the knowledge, because currently I'm still kind of in that phase of like, I've learned a lot about eyes recently, but I have no idea how much of it I've misunderstood. So I'm gonna spend a bit more time kind of learning about it. But if it is accurate, it might be quite interesting knowledge for people. I think I spent like 10 minutes talking about iris structure and the kind of 2 layers to the iris and the 2 different parts of the muscle kind of thing. I don't think it can... Is it a muscle? I don't know. If it is a muscle, it's incredibly sparse, so you can see the individual fibers. Let's get this exported. Move that to my other screen. Okay. So we'll get into Maya. Need a bit more volume there. Much closer. That's getting pretty close now. This one's too big, but again, it's... So I need to match this image. Like, ultimately, this is the image I want to match and prioritize. Now, that gives me issues with the neck. I don't know how much of that is posed, because his head is turned slightly. So you're going to get a little bit of fat bunching up on that side, and naturally it's going to kind of thin out the neck on that side. That chin's very defiant, very big from that angle. So I might need to pull all this in a little bit, unless my camera lineup is still wrong, which is probable, honestly. That line is way too high, Jesus. Okay, let's pull that down. Let's get that in a more realistic position. Okay, another thing I was consistently noticing is this being too high, so let's just pull that down a little bit. His eye is looking kind of weird. Gonna fatten that out a little bit. I think we've got likeness now. It took long enough. What, 12 hours work? So a day and a half of actual work days. It's not awful. Definitely slow for a head, but especially since it's literally just a block out, like it's not got any detail on it really. I'll say block out, actually no, saying block out is a bit disingenuous. It's in early stages where nothing is quite right, but everything's kind of there. I need to pull in these neck areas a little bit. I didn't see anything change. I'm going to pull in these bits a little bit. I think they're a little bit strong right now. Yeah, no, they are. They're absolutely a little bit strong. Beautiful. Alright, do we work on the body a little bit? some of these angles look really wrong. Like that mouth is coming to a point almost. It's really weird. Like, I'm aware it's because of that, but let's just do something. So I always enjoy doing this. Beautiful. So skull shape is the next thing, right? Should probably get some kind of scan in. Head feels a bit round at the top, right? Like, this feels like it should be... It's a bit better. So the widest point of the head is like here, I think. That's a bit better. That's a very strange angle. Fix that hollowness that it had. Feels a bit better. Okay. Okay, so it's better. I reckon we start getting this into katana. And I'll quickly set up the eyes. Yeah, that'll do. Alright, let's save this. Okay, so hair needs to include this guy, right? Let's go merge down. Okay, so it's going to get that exported. Okay, we're going to get... It kind of looks like Christian von Koenigsegg. Wait. A little bit. Let's see if I can find it. I've accidentally made Christian von Koenigsegg. If I gave him like a wider jaw? That's kind of funny. The ears are obviously a completely different shape. If you don't know who Christian von Koenigsegg is, I mean, I'd hope you recognize the name Koenigsegg just from, well, like, you don't have to be into cars, I guess, but in the car world, Koenigsegg's are fucking stunning things. They're also probably one of the most, like, the world's most exclusive car companies. It's kind of ridiculous the amount of cars they've made. Like, I'm pretty sure I remember reading is like Lamborghini have made more Aventadors than Koenigsegg have made cars, which is mental. I know Aventadors are everywhere, especially if you're in London. Hell, I've seen a few in Montreal. But for your entire company to not have made many cars is like that one specific model from another company. Kind of crazy. The body. Okay. So let's get that exported. Okay, into Maya. It's not sharp enough for that view. Tip of the nose needs to be a tiny, tiny bit bigger. I guess we may as well do that, it's a quick enough thing. Okay, and then it was the corner of his cheekbone, right? There we go. So let's get that exported back over. Have I overdone it? Let's find out. We need to check if the bottom of the nose is too big as well. Oh, perfect. That's actually on pixel. I'm actually really proud of that. Top of the nose. Oh, God. Right, top of the nose is too high. Let's fix up the nose. Okay, what else is wrong? There's something else with the brow, right? Brow needs to come out a little bit more. Quite a lot, actually. Export. That should line up now. Not quite right, but closer. This needs to go down a tiny bit more, and that needs to come out a tiny bit more. How long has it been asymmetrical for? Just do a quick mirror and weld. Let's go deformation. Okay, ways to delete the top layer. Does it affect anything too bad? No, not really. Delete higher. Save us some heartache. Okay, that's mirrored perfectly. Right, okay. So let's just save our scene. There's that dissonance again. Export. Top of the head is too big, right? So close. I'm getting this right. I don't care how long it takes. That's the last change I'm doing, regardless of if it looks good or not. Yeah, close enough. It's off by a few pixels, but overall it's fine. I need to stop my bitching. That's still not sharp enough. That's a lot closer. That's missing some volume. Overall, I think this is too low as well. That needs to be pulled back a tiny bit. Too young. That needs some more volume, but again, not today's problem. And that's been pulled in too far. Is that in a... That corner needs to be pulled in a bit, doesn't it? That needs to be pulled in. Maybe I'm just on too high of a focal length for this one. This is also one where the nose doesn't... In fact, yeah, I think it's... In fact, no. Nose is too big. And ears are too far out. Oh, actually, no, that... No. Next focal length would make one of those worse and make the other one better, no matter which way I did it. Alright, so some things misaligned on this. I also need to fix that, but that's a future Muse problem. That needs to be pushed back a little bit, because it is in the center right now. Granted, it could be off to one side in the actual thing. The painting version is a bit different, isn't it? His nose is too wide. Is that something that's common? Yeah, his nose is too wide. Oh, this one's at the wrong angle, but his nose is too wide. Alright, fine. I'm doing that one last change. And on that, I'm going to save a version. Now it's actually done. Export. Okay. And let's update the hair while we're at it. Oh, I guess. Sorry, guys. Really sorry. Okay, so this needs to be pushed back a tiny, tiny bit. that needs to be flattened out. Okay. So now I'm actually done. I swear. I fucking swear it. 1.2 million. He's a heavy one. I did just export this, right? Memory's failing me. I'm gonna save my scene, and I think that's that done. Oh, I need to export the body as well. Because I did update the belly button. Right, okay, so there we go. Let's save our scene. Yeah, it's totally Christian von Koenigsegg. Okay, so update this. That's closer. That's still fine. That's closer. That's still wrong, but then his entire nose shape is wrong. That's a bit closer. Noticing stuff wrong with that now, but feature me problem. And that's still too large, but then a lot of this is misaligned, so it's kind of hard to tell. That one's pretty well aligned. This one's still okay. Yes, so my nostril shape is wrong. Is this closer now? That's closer. Good, good, good. Okay, so we're going to get this guy. We're going to cache Alembic, export selection to Alembic. We're going to go into modeling, ZBrush, block out, exports, body Alembic. And we're going to reference in the other guys as well. So we need 4 references in total. So we need to reference in, well, that we can just directly export. We need to reference in hair proxy. This is the heaviest thing, so in terms of current poly count. Ah, Jesus, did I forget to turn group off? File. Reference, remove reference. Back into there. Just go to here, turn off that, turn off that, turn off that. Do the same for the body. Head is fine, right? Head is one piece, yeah. So let's get hair proxy. We'll export the Alembic from that again. Okay, so now we've got the hair as one object. Let's go to cache, Alembic, export selection to Alembic. See if I can say that 3 times fast. That's fine. Hair proxy ABC. Cool. And then we need to bring in the body. Alembic, export selection to Alembic, body geo. And then with the I group, we're just going to export the entire group as is. Let's just go cache, Alembic, export selection to Alembic. Let's got all that stuff. There we go. Let's saturate a bit more. As you make things darker, it's generally good to make them more saturated too. I just find it's more visually appealing. Right, so that's all that done. So we're going to alt-save our scene. V-Ray's wormed its way in. Fuck you, V-Ray. Like, it's a great renderer, but good god, the PLE license thing worms its way through projects. I think I got that from importing an eye or some kind of shader. Or sorry, I imported like a camera or some shit from a V-Ray scene, and it's now just put V-Ray PLE in like every other project I have, which is beyond frustrating. But anyway, alright, cool. So I'm going to just read this on the other screen. Alright, okay, so open recent. Okay, so I should have everything. Okay. It's amazing how much like detail just vanishes as soon as you render it. One of the most saddening things about working in CG. So much stuff disappears when you render. I need to do SSS sets, right? I'm just gonna put all of this into an SSS set for now. Much better. SSS sets are such lifesavers. Look at those lines that they fix. Oh, that's bugging out. Either way, it's looking much healthier now. Technically, it kind of removes like a ambient occlusion style effect, but I'm not really too bothered by that. What is that though? Is the back of the hair coming through? guess so, that's incredibly fun. But then... yeah, it's kind of confused, isn't it? Let's just inflate that out. In fact, no. I'm not. I refuse. No. Okay, well, we got that in. We are now able to take the eye shaders, because we've now got the same eyes. So let's just grab those. I will obviously remove like colors and stuff, but let's grab the Pero. I'm hoping that this... I didn't. Okay. Can I copy paste from a scene that isn't open? Just gonna grab that. And the corresponding material assignment. If that doesn't copy over, then I'll just do it off stream or something. Oh, it did work. Nice. These. Okay, then we're just going to go into the scene graph and fix up some of these temporarily. So we want to basically change these just to search for anything in geo. We don't have a caruncle. Fluid we do have. Okay. Iris we do have. Lens we do have. Okay, and let's not worry yet about renaming the materials. So let's just create a merge. Okay. This is going to look completely wrong. Like, it's going to be entirely off. But we'll see how far off it is. Oh, it's instantly died. Nice. Oh, of course, because it doesn't have the texture directories. Okay. Oh god, these are gonna be so bad. Alright. I'll probably have to do this off stream. Because I set this up to be able to be transferred, but obviously these aren't in the right place anymore. Because it's a different project with different geometries and I need to create all the attributes. I've still got Christian von Koenigsegg looking at me from my other screen. Yeah, I can do this off stream, I think. For now, can we just disable these? That's fine. I have no idea if this will work. Let's give it a go. I mean, kinda. It looks so goofy. Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna come back to this. Let's just delete out. Oh, that's coming from there, so that's fine. We can get rid of those. The iris. We want to get rid of this guy, replace it with just a flat color. Can you just create a color? Kinda. Alright. We can connect these up to color jitter. Have the jitter do nothing. Just generate a basic color for us. So let's just put 0.5. That sclera color default is mad. Delete those. Again, I can always get them back later. Meniscus is fine, you're not doing anything. Lens is fine, you have no textures. Color jitter, fluid. Okay, and then some surface scattering. We're just going to put the same color in there. It just looks so bad. I kind of adore it, honestly. Okay, it's still a little bit harsh, right? Okay, let's reduce those colors down to 0.18, which is like basically pre-linearized mid-tone. It's interesting that it's ended up so bright with the caustics. But actually, I can grab this color from the skin, right? Use that as a sclera color for a little bit. Oh, that's the iris. Oops. Grab you. Grab you. Okay, well, caustics are doing that job. Let's relax out that ramp a little bit. This guy right here. I'm going to pull that out just a tiny bit and then bias that. That should be what we want, right? I'm aware obviously the eyes aren't looking at the right place. It just pulls it back a little bit. I'm gonna take it even further though. And then let's go even harder on this as well. Let's go like 125. That'll create a much softer blend. Granted, this is placeholder as hell, but like... Has that made it harsher? It has made it harsher. Let's put it back to 0.5, see what happens. Okay, let's go back to let's go 0.35. There we go. That's a little bit better. So, let's go into our viewer. And then grab the head geometry. Mike, can you share the playlist? Absolutely. There you go. Let's close the human head, Ricky. Oh, Ricky? I'm always swapping my R's and W's. It's honestly impressive. That's gonna really bug me. Yeah, okay. Let's try out one of the other light rigs. Obviously the eye color is completely off, but... Thank you. No problem at all. I've been using this playlist for like 2 years now. So we're starting to get some of these shapes. Because this light basically off stream, I've rotated this through like every possible angle. I think I went through like 15-degree increments, and it ended up literally being like 100 degrees. And it got me the same triangle. I think it's pretty close. Yeah. Let's just try. Obviously, I'll need to make like an actual light match at some point. Yeah, it's not far off, although the angle's still not quite right. In fact, yeah, let's quickly tweak that. So put that here. Now, obviously, I'm going to ignore the iris and all this. I'm just going to use the eye. So yeah, this entire thing needs to be shifted over a little bit. Again, only using this to check the angle. So let's try 105 degrees. I can't remember which way is which. And let's just use this area. So which way did that go? Okay, so it went the opposite way. So let's go 95. It's not catching this. Mildly concerning. Because for this to be right-ish, and that to be wrong, means that either the eyes aren't far forward enough, which I'm not buying for a second, or this isn't far back enough, which is probably the right one. So this still needs another pass to get it in the right place. I'm going to very quickly adjust the glossiness of this. Get something that's a little bit more skin-like, shall we? I guess we'll just remove the coat, or just make it incredibly subtle. 0.25. Let's change. In fact, no, 1.4 is okay for grease. Let's go like 0.6. What program will I use for clothes? I haven't decided yet. Now, naturally, the first instinct is say Marvelous Designer, but I don't know. I suck with Marvelous Designer. I'm awful with that program. A lot of this spec roughness will change based on displacement. I still need to figure out like, what I'm using for displacement as well, actually. Cool. I'm going to move that to the other screen. And I guess this now functions as our end of stream render, right? So I'm going to let this get nice and clean. We will, we will do some lighting at some point to actually get a match. I need to figure out the inner corner of this eye though. So I guess we've got one more stream left. What's direct light doing? Yeah, no, it's definitely not enough. So this needs to be slanted back more. This corner's almost okay, so I think in general it's just this part of the eye needs to be pushed back, which is annoying because we pulled it forward so many times to match references better. Beautiful. Yeah, cool. Anyway, I'm just gonna let this do its thing. I guess next stream we'll try to figure out the inner corner of this eye, because that's not right. And probably work on the body. Once we've got those two okay, we'll start retopology, possibly in the next stream, because we're getting to a point now where actually we could start retopology if I don't want to do the inside of the mouth. I still need to figure that out. Next stream would be on, it's either going to be Saturday morning or Sunday night, because Saturday day, meeting up with some friends. I think we're going to have some drinks. So I want to, yeah, either do this in the morning on Saturday or do a Sunday at some point. But yeah, obviously you guys will know when that pops up. Yeah, I mean, decent progress for the stream. Likeness is a lot closer now. So, you know, we're slowly getting there at this point. And yeah, I'm going to go play some video games. Yeah, thank you for dropping by, guys. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I'll be back to you guys on the weekend. And yeah, I hope you've learned something. For next stream, I'll try to figure out before the next stream if I'm going to do the inside of the mouth or not. I've decided I'm going to try to use Yeti for the hair, which is suicide for a digidouble, but I just want to give it a go. I want to see if I can do it. It's been a while, and Yeti.04 is a lot better than the last time I tried to do a Yeti digidouble. It's a fun challenge. But yeah, so I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next stream. In the meantime, have a good night, and if I don't stream on the weekend, I hope you have a great weekend. Right. Bye, guys.